San Antonio is literally in the middle of one of its biggest transformations in history. We're looking at over $15 billion in projects that are going to completely transform the landscape of San Antonio. While everyone across the country and the world has been laser focused on what's happening in Austin, Dallas, and other places like Houston, San Antonio has quietly been under the radar like they have been for basically its entire history. And the foundation is being built to quietly become one of America's most important cities. But you have to be positioned perfectly before these billions of dollars are spent, or you could be missing one of the biggest opportunities in Texas history. Healthcare systems don't just drop $900 million unless they are absolutely certain a population boom is coming. And University Hospital has confirmed exactly that for 2 brand new hospitals here in San Antonio. Look at the Palo Alto Hospital on the south side of San Antonio, right there by A&M San Antonio. We're talking $450 million of a giant hospital with 166 beds with the capability to expand it to nearly 300 in the future. It's under construction right now and set to open in 2027. And again, right there in kind of that hub of the Southside transformation that we talked about in last week's video. Then you also have its sister hospital up on the northeast side, the Retama Hospital right there by Retama Park. The horse racing track is right off of 35. Almost identical, going to be 140 beds to start with, and obviously the capability to expand is also another $450 million project that is going to transform that area as well, because you don't have a whole lot of huge hospitals on that side of town, which is going to be drastically important for the additional growth of that corridor between San Antonio and New Braunfels. This kind of infrastructure improvement with hospitals is something that really kind of tells you the tale of where the growth of San Antonio is going and shows you where you could have a potential impact long term with investments in these areas surrounding these major hospitals being built. All right, let's move on. San Antonio has been the destination for international companies in the past. You look at Toyota and how big of a presence it's had on that south side over the last couple decades. But something else is coming, and this is a British manufacturer of heavy equipment. They looked everywhere in the world and picked this area on the south side of San Antonio for its next plant. JCB is a massive heavy equipment manufacturing giant in the world stage, often ranking in the top 10 in heavy equipment sales and production worldwide. Back in 2023, they announced a $265 million investment into its largest facility ever, even bigger than its corporate headquarters back in England. Then in April of 2025, they flat out doubled that investment to nearly $500 million to massively increase its footprint in the United States and Texas. The facility actually went from 500,000 square feet to nearly 1 million square feet. A huge impact for this was obviously a lot of global supply chain uncertainty, especially with those tariffs that hit last year. So I think that really kind of pushed them to, all right, focus in on where the most important area is for them to, be able to access with their equipment manufacturing. This has already been ongoing, this project has, and it's set to create 1,500 jobs starting in October of this year. The estimated economic impact to this area is over $30 billion in the next 10 years. This is not going to be just the standard manufacturing facility where you just go straight inside to your station and you leave and go home. This is a full-on headquarters to create a much more inviting and exciting work environment. They're adding tennis courts, they have gyms for the employees, there's going to be a lake, there's going to be actually a working cattle ranch surrounding the property with the additional acreage that they own. So in my opinion, with this, in addition to the hospital right there at Palo Alto and A&M San Antonio on top of everything else, this really situates the south side to be a very important facet of San Antonio's future. For decades, if you wanted to invest in San Antonio, everybody went to the north side. North side is the area that has historically just exploded. You look at the far west side as well. Southside has been very, very forgotten in a sense. And JCB and the University Hospital's investment is just one piece of that puzzle. You look at Toyota and they're investing another $530 million in expanding their existing plant that has already been there for a couple decades. They're basically bringing a lot of their third-party sources where they've gotten some of their drivetrain parts in-house, and so they're going to be adding an additional 400 jobs on top of the 3,800 that they already have. You also have another big manufacturer in International Motors, which used to be Navistar. They did lay off some people here recently, but those those were mostly salary jobs. It didn't really affect their labor force at all. They're doing a lot of trials, and what they kind of build is, vehicles, obviously, trucks, electric trucks, regular trucks, and then also looking at autonomous vehicles as well. Texas A&M San Antonio is obviously exploding. They're at 8,000 students currently, with the goal to match what UTSA has done for the city of San Antonio, and get to a place where they can be one of the nation's foremost universities as well. So having two of those in one city is really going to impact this area for those that are looking at higher education as a priority for their families, for their kids, and just for them in general. Not to mention what that's going to bring as far as employers once these universities continue to blow up and bring in better education opportunities for their students. A&M San Antonio is wrapping up a roughly $55 million public health and education building, and then another $20 million early childhood and community health center as well. They've got hundreds of acres to expand down there, and their vision is huge, and they have gone a long way in getting to that level too. In the last decade, they've grown by over 42%, and they have been one of the United States' fastest growing universities in a long period of time as well. With these jobs being added to the Southside, you look at, on average, they're $50,000 to $60,000 a year jobs, and when you have thousands of those coming into an area at one time, the retail, entertainment, shopping, all of those things are going to follow when you have these folks that are living in an area. Not only is the university expansion in San Antonio going to impact how big corporate companies look at San Antonio and potentially moving offices here, but the airport expansion is going to play a big part in that too. Now, real quick, before we get into that airport expansion, I want to introduce myself for you guys that don't know me. My name is Michael McCall. I run the Life and SATX home group here in San Antonio. We're a small group of highly trained individuals that know and love San Antonio and have lived here for our entire lives, okay? I've literally lived here my entire life, know this place like the back of my hand, and have worked with hundreds of families just like you moving here to San Antonio, and would love to be that resource for you as well. So if you are interested in looking at moving to San Antonio, anywhere in San Antonio, any of the suburbs, surrounding areas surrounding San Antonio, or just have questions about what it would be like to live here, would love for you guys to reach out to us. You can shoot us an email, you can send us a text, call us. You can also schedule a call directly with one of our team members down in that link below. It's a Calendly link. You can get on our schedule, and we would love to talk through everything that it means to move here and how we can help you with buying that next house or selling your house here in the San Antonio area. So do you know what really keeps a city from being taken seriously in the realm of, executive corporate headquarters expansion? And that's when people have to connect through Dallas or Houston just to get to you. San Antonio has historically been the little brother airport to these major players like Dallas and Houston. But the addition of Terminal C is hopefully going to change that very, very soon. This is a $2.5 billion project. It is going to add 850,000 square feet and 17 new gates to San Antonio, and obviously a lot more opportunities for those that are traveling to and from this great city. Right now, San Antonio handles just about 11 million passengers per year, and by 2030, in the next 4 years, they're expecting that to increase to 13 million, and by 2040, increasing to 16 million. So we're talking a 60% increase in the next 15 years or so. And a huge game changer involved with this is that there's going to be 3 gates directly dedicated to nonstop international flights, so you don't have to connect to Dallas or Houston for those types of travel anymore. You also look at Air Canada, who is connecting a nonstop flight directly from Toronto, which is going to be huge, especially for work travel and tourism in general, as San Antonio really relies a lot on its tourism industry. And I've also seen some things talking about how there's a lot more interest from Europe and South America in additional nonstop international flights. And that's way bigger than most people realize. And when you look at where companies are deciding to move their headquarters or move, big facilities with important executives that are working there, they need to have access to the airport. I get questions like that all the time whenever I'm talking to folks. I mean, if they're traveling for work quite frequently, they want to be within a short drive to the airport. And if that airport is not taking you where you need to go, then it doesn't really matter. You don't need to be that close to that airport. You need to be in some other city close to a different airport. This whole thing is bringing in 16,000 jobs to San Antonio and is going to obviously provide a great impact to that north side of San Antonio surrounding this airport and within an easy drive drive to this airport as well. And while the airport helps people get around and get to and from San Antonio, what UTSA is building downtown is going to really bring people to this area and make them stay. San Antonio is Military City, USA. When you look at Lackland, Randolph, Fort Sam Houston, the conglomerate that creates Joint Base San Antonio, San Antonio's impact on the military in America and worldwide is huge. And UTSA is currently working on a $130 million project that could continue to expand that footprint. We're talking about UTSA San Pedro 2, and this is a 180,000 square foot project that actually was completed in January of 2026 with its grand opening scheduled for later this spring. It's focusing on some of the biggest things in tech right now, which is cybersecurity, AI, computing, and data sciences. And these are literally the exact fields the military needs the most right now from what I've seen. Back in September of 2025, UTSA actually launched the College of AI, Cyber, and Computing, which already has over 5,000 students across the campuses of San Pedro 1 and 2. And they're cranking out graduates in fields that our defense and tech sectors desperately need in this world of increasing by the minute AI influence. Now, here's how this whole thing works with the military. Obviously, you've got the active duty military folks that work on the bases and are stationed at the bases, but you also have a lot of civilian workforce that supports the things that they're doing, civilian contractors that work on the bases as well, and then kind of the ancillary things that happen in and around the bases to make sure that those bases are running and doing things that they need to do. So the military creates demand, the universities create the workforce to fill the demand, and whether it's graduates going into active duty and being enlisted in the military, or going into the civilian contractors that are supporting what the military is doing. San Antonio has really tried to position itself to be a cybersecurity hub for Texas and be a kind of go-to point for those companies. And UTSA is at the center of that to really make San Antonio the next information security hub in the country outside of DC. Now, you have all these jobs that are being added to San Antonio, but one of our biggest weak points that I could say is that for such a large city, we have a very, very minimalistic view of public transportation. You pretty much have to have a car to be able to get around this city. There is really no easy way to use public transit here. But VIA is doing some work to improve that in a $735 million investment. So VIA is finally getting on board and building 2 lines to help alleviate that issue. So the first one you got is the Green Line. This is about a $480 million job that's going to go about 11.7 miles from the airport down to the Southside at the San Antonio Missions, or in that area, give or take. There's going to be more bus lanes added, with buses coming every 10 minutes or so on the weekdays. And this is planning to open in 2028 and improve the speed of the current public transit system by about 45%. And then the next one is a $289 million project called the Silver Line. This is going west to east, and you're talking 7.3 miles and 18 stops, but that one's not opening till late 2029, so still a few years out on those. But this still doesn't eliminate the fact that San Antonio is a huge, sprawling city, and although this is a very, very big, important investment in our infrastructure, the $7 billion that is going into the highway infrastructure expansion is, in my opinion, much more important at this point in time. With all the growth that this area is expecting, especially with that Austin-San Antonio metroplex that they have been talking about for years and years and years, you are looking at a highway system that is just doomed if it stayed at it the way that it was just a couple years ago. So first in the priority list was that Loop 1604 North expansion. This is between I-10 and 281. That's finishing up this year, adding those flyover lanes at that intersection between I-10 and 1604, where they had that kind of clover intersection before that is not meant for a city this big. So those flyover lanes and kind of the way that they created those ramps with such a large span in between where you get onto the ramp and when you actually make that turn has been really, really cool to see. I mean, they've started to open a lot of those already and expecting to be fully open this year in 2026. You also have a project that is going to be very important for that connection of the Austin-San Antonio metroplex, and that is the I-35 NEX project. And this is expanding I-35 over a few different counties, going from San Antonio to Austin. The intersections between, especially at New Braunfels coming into San San Antonio is, 35 is just a nightmare to drive, especially as you get into Austin. You've also got the I-10 East and 410 interchange, which is on that southeast side. So again, continuing to talk about the south side, that also had the Cloverleaf intersection, and getting rid of those and adding the flyover lanes so that that southeast side near Converse, another suburb that we've talked about as an area that is going to potentially explode over the next few years. This is going to be huge for this area to allow for easier commutes from areas like Converse to get into downtown San Antonio or other locations. Phase 1 of this actually already opened in August of last year, and it's made a big difference for sure, but you can still see as you're driving through there a ton of construction that is going to continue to happen there for the next couple of years. And you can't forget about the opposite side of town, on the west side, Highway 90 going out to Castroville. What they're doing out there is expanding it from 4 to 6 lanes and adding flyover lanes as well for those intersections. And this infrastructure improvement and everything else surrounding with the education, the healthcare, all leads to the main source of San Antonio's biggest transformation in decades, and that is Project Marvel. For years, San Antonio has been known as home to the Alamo. Remember the Alamo? We've been Military City, USA. We've been known for maybe SeaWorld and Six Flags. We've got the Spurs, but you look at other big cities like San Antonio, Chicago, LA, New York, and you think about all the entertainment options that they provide to their residents and that bring more and more people in to want to not only live in San Antonio, but visit San Antonio and just make it a place that people talk about. And Project Marvel is trying to make that downtown San Antonio area, which in my opinion is just awesome as itself, make it even better. I mean, you look at the Riverwalk, you look at the Alamo, of course, you look at the Pearl District. I mean, it's got a lot going for it, but when you mix in this $4 billion transformation that can be Project Marvel, especially talking about the first phase, okay? So back in 2025, voters approved that special, tax basically for the hotels, basically a visitor's tax, not a residence tax, but allowing some of those funds to go towards funding a new arena for the San Antonio Spurs in downtown San Antonio. So when voters approved that Proposition B back in November, it approved over $300 million in funding for that new Spurs arena, with the vast majority of the rest of that coming from the Spurs themselves. They're still in the design phase, but they're expected to actually break ground on that in the second quarter of 2026, with the timeline expected to be about a 6-year project. You also look at the convention center expansion, which is projected to be about $900 million. Again, still in the design phases here, but once that gets going, we're expecting $1.4 billion in private projects to follow, whether it's hotels or restaurants and additional expansions to other areas surrounding this convention center and the Spurs arena, because that Spurs arena and convention center are going to be literally just within spitting distance of each other. The next facet, which I think is going to be huge for them to figure out a way to make happen, is this land bridge, and this is going to be kind of like an iconic symbol. We already have a land bridge over at Harburger Park that really made a big impact. I've seen multiple YouTube videos, multiple other news outlets that have talked about that, and that's just for a park. If they could do a land bridge that is connecting essentially two sides of San Antonio and able to expand not only into the downtown San Antonio area near Hemisphere and the Riverwalk, but going over to that east side of 37 and be able to expand that area surrounding the Alamo Dome and be able to have that entire thing completely interconnected without having to go under an overpass. I mean, that is going to make a drastic difference and really be a staple of something that is defining San Antonio for, decades or even, a century to come. You've got multiple other projects that are kind of in and mixed in with these big major ones for Project Marvel, but when it comes to these, kind of three big important pieces of it, these are the ones that I think are going to have the greatest impact. We've got about a 6-year timeline to where we really see how all of this plays out, and over billions of dollars in investments that are coming over that same time period, and it's really going to show where our future is heading. And if this Austin San Antonio Metroplex continues to grow like they're expecting it to, where does San Antonio fall in the midst of the great names of the most popular cities in America that then become the most popular cities in the world? Dallas is very corporate. Austin's super tech heavy. Houston, very energy dependent. But San Antonio, with its military presence, and if we can expand our manufacturing capabilities, we're going to continue to grow as a staple of necessity in this area and really kind of help make Texas as a whole a better overall place to be in this Texas triangle of Houston, Dallas, and San Antonio, really with 3 different, aspects that make an entire economy flow. This keeps us continuing to be a very stable option for people that are looking to find a better way of life in a state that really supports that with Texas. And, overall, it's just going to make this place so much better for the people that are already here. So if you are trying to figure out if San Antonio is the place for you and your family, again, we've helped hundreds of people just like you and hundreds of families just like yours here at the Life in SATX Home Group, and would love to be that resource for you guys. So reach out, schedule a call with us. All our information is down in the description below. Email us, call, text us, schedule a call directly with us. Go check out our website and just explore what options San Antonio has for you and your family. And if you want an even further deep dive on Project Marvel and all the details surrounding that, take a look at this video right here. And it's one that I did not too long ago that discusses just that. So until the next one, guys, we'll see you there.